And we're live. Welcome, everybody. This is the Reality Czars podcast, and I'm your only host for right now, Nate. I think Tony's jumping in late, and I am honored and happy to be with the gentlemen from Grimerica. I have Graham and Darren on. Gents, this is your first time on the show. Would you guys want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and where they can find you?
Sure. I'm Graham from the Grimerica show. We've been going for 9 years. Fully listener supported, value for value, just talking about all kinds of crazy stuff. And we have another show now called Grimerica Outlawed. So you can find all that at grimerica.ca. We also have an audiobook page with a whole bunch of old esoteric kind of secret society books on magic and the occult, all kinds of stuff like that for audiobooks. And we've also got some trips that we do with guests and listeners of the show at contactedthecabin.ca as well.
.com.
Oh, .com. Thanks, Darren.
Hell yeah. Darren, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Darren. I'm the better looking half of the Grimerica show. And yeah, I mean, we just, everything Graham said pretty much.
Cool,
I'm
man.
on Twitter. We got a chat room if anyone wants to check that out. All the links are on grimerica.ca. And I wrote a couple books about all the terrible things the government's done in the past. So people might want to check that out. That's all on the page as well.
Hell yeah.
Well, not all the terrible things. I mean, only to the Indians.
Only to the Indians, specifically to the Indians, yes.
Well, did you hear about that? Like, the Pope is over there in Canada right now, man. He's apologizing for their role, the Catholic Church's role in the schools over there.
Dude, I don't know. My friend texts me and goes, he was so fucking rattled. He texts me saying, did you know they spent $100 million to clean up this stuff so the Pope could come over and apologize?
No shit.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that was,
What exactly do they have to clean up?
I don't know.
There's still dead bodies. There's still.
Maybe clean up the remains of the burnt churches. Maybe the burned down churches. I don't know.
Has that been happening? I've been hearing about that.
Well, yeah, it happened a year ago in the summer, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of controversy. No, that was protests that never really got in the mainstream. So apparently, that's the weird thing is, Rebel News came out with a story recently that said that there was no bodies found in these graves, and the media blew it all out of proportion. So I don't really buy that either, to be honest with you, because we've heard enough from people that have done investigations that these things get covered up pretty quick, and so that you can't really do proper digging there. So I don't know if Darren has more information about that, but that whole news story caused a ruckus. Was it last year in the summer, Darren? 2021, I think.
I believe it was.
I think it was last summer. And then they just the protesters went and burned a bunch of churches down and stuff. And so I don't know. The Pope's coming out for some apology. We haven't really. I don't think we've been paying much attention to that aspect.
You guys aren't on pins and needles waiting to hear him talk.
No, geez. I mean, really, is he gonna? If it's,
I just found out today.
Yeah, that gross old pedo, man. I don't know if he is specifically a pedo, but he protects pedos, so fuck him.
Yeah, I mean, the church played quite a role in it. I mean, I guess
there's definitely a lot of pedos in the church. I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. At very least, he's a pedo apologist.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I mean, I'm not speaking out against all the Catholics. I mean, I know a bunch of great Catholics. I'm just talking about all the pedo priests or whatever the fuck. Is it a priest or a pastor or whatever? There's a bunch of them that are pedos. I don't know. Seems to be a weird metric.
Yeah, I have a lot of Catholic listeners, and I love my Catholic listeners, but they know how I feel about the Vatican, dude. Vatican. It's the same reason why, like, there's some great Americans, but holy shit, Washington, D.C. is a fucking cesspool, man.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I'm beginning to think more and more that the Vatican is sort of more evil than anything. I mean, and it's been planned like that all along. I feel like, I don't know, from a Christian point of view, Jesus.
They probably don't think they're evil, though.
I don't know.
Nobody's like, yes, I'm evil. Yes. I guess.
Yeah, they're just fucking weirdos, dude. I don't know though, because I mean, there is sociopaths, right? But even them, they don't think they're evil because they don't really even have like good or bad feelings. They don't like. I don't think they have the concept of evil. They're like, because they don't even see us as people, so they just like, you know what I mean? So it's just like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. I want power. I want control. And oh, here's a kid. I want to fuck it, and they just do it, and they put themselves in position so that they have the opportunity to do that. You know, those pieces.
Yeah, they probably find a way to rationalize all that or justify it. I mean, you know, they probably think the kid want it, or who knows what they say to themselves. But that's crossing the line now. I mean,
yeah, it's fucked up, man. Yeah, here we go. We got a comment that says, make the Catholic library go public. Man. Yeah, if I could be a fly on the wall in the Vatican, dude, you got to step over lots of dead baby bodies. But like, I want to go down into their catacombs and check out all the crazy artwork and all the weird things that they have. And
there'll be a bunch of spell books down there, I'd imagine.
Oh, dude, I bet. Yeah, they're esoteric as fuck, dude. Like they're occult as fuck, and like Catholics don't even realize.
Prepared for like a bunch of different scenarios, you know. We've got a bunch of gold stashed up that they could use in a collapse, or a bunch of, you know, this or that, or I bet you those motherfuckers got some guns too.
Well, I mean, Catholics don't like to hear this, dude, but I mean, I see the second the Catholic Church became, synonymous with the state, it became the state religion of Rome. And when the Catholics kind of took over, I think that was like the coup of like Christianity, because then it had nothing to do with like the teachings of Jesus, and it became just about power and control. And like,
that's kind of what I was getting at. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's straight up sun worship. I mean, that's basically what it's about, dude. It's like, it's old school. They stapled on like old Babylonian traditions and just like hid behind a cross. Pretty crazy shit. Got another comment. I'm sure it would blow minds and ruin the religion. Yeah. Yeah. If we got down there and we read all the books. Yeah, what do you guys think about the Catholic, like the hierarchy and stuff? What do you think they know? Do you think there's like initiations, like the higher you go to become like a cardinal or a bishop, and you think they let you in on some like occult knowledge?
Well, I think, I don't know about that detail, but I mean, I think they've been sort of a global infrastructure for cultural change for quite a while. I mean, I think that's part of like what Darren's books were kind of showing, is that in the mid 1850s and stuff, the church, I mean, they were getting involved in all the, you know, the English like the Commonwealth countries. And I think there was a real acceleration there on getting rid of the culture of the savages and increasing the, you know, and sort of brainwashing everybody into these civilized cultures, you know, quote unquote.
That's when they flipped the board on us.
Yeah, exactly.
Changed the history.
Yeah, because they had a global network already there, right? They were one of the first, probably the huge global networks.
In the late 1800s, they get ready to seek out the state and the church.
In the where?
In the late 1800s, the late 1800s, the state and the church seemed to combine forces. The state uses the force, or a bunch of different states, I guess, mostly the British, are using the church to just go around the board, around the globe, and stamp out anyone that's sort of still palling around with the ancient traditions and the ancient myths, and, you know.
It seems too, like earlier than that too, like with the Knights Templar and different things, and like the forming of the Jesuits. We just had a comment about the Jesuits too. That's when it seemed to kind of like tie into kind of like a secret society. Like a lot of, I think some of the uppity ups in the Vatican, I think they do and did occult a lot of like knowledge. Like they were stamping out like a lot of those like pagans, or whatever you want to call them, those different religions. And I think that they were probably stealing a lot of their knowledge and occulting it. And then like, but then also like Catholicism is pagan as fuck, dude. Like at least the way that it's taken over Europe, they had to like adopt a lot of like those pagan traditions and stuff. It's an interesting hodgepodge. Like it literally has nothing to do with like hippie Jesus and, you know, in Israel. Let's see here. He says, someone said someone in the know should remote view all the secrets locked into the bowels of the Vatican. That's a fucking nifty idea, dude. You know, I've thought about that before too. It's like some of the people at the top know about like remote viewing, I think, and astral projection and things like that. And I've actually had a conversation with a couple folks, and like basically the consensus of these folks is that like let's say the government, like in the Pentagon or something, right? They probably hire wizards as well to like ward off and protect places from being astral projected. Like this guy straight up thinks that they have like psychic guards blocking areas from you, like to try to go in and try to like check out some of their secrets. Let's see here.
That's a great point. I totally agree. I think they would, because they've known about that reality for thousands of years, right? So, and imagine how good they are at that after practicing that in secret, traversing those realms. You know, you'd have to protect yourself.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's when America kind of like got in on it too, is like with the MK Ultra stuff, when they were really, you know, practicing that stuff and like mastering that stuff and taking it to like a new level, you know. That's some fascinating shit. So somebody says, is Satan their real savior? I think it's actually Lucifer, and according to these folks, Satan and Lucifer are two different people.
Satan.
So, yeah, interesting stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. That's some interesting shit, man, for sure.
Well, it makes you wonder about the real followers of Christ. I mean, we had this guy on called Terry Wolf, and it is interesting how much the Catholic Church, like between the Inquisition and them chasing out all these other sects of people that would just follow the scriptures and Jesus themselves, but not the church, right? I mean, they just fucking destroy these towns and these communities, and I mean, then there's the Inquisition, which everybody knows about. But I mean, it was brutal.
Dude, absolutely it was. And I mean, I think that is something. I mean, because he was a flawed person, but what's his name? Martin Luther, when he was trying to like, I mean, because dude, yeah, he's definitely a flawed person, but he was like trying with the Reformation, he was trying to like change some of the things that were going on in the Catholic Church, because they were getting real wild, dude. Like you basically just, what was that called? When you basically would ask for like money, and you could get if your husband died and he was a real piece of shit, indulgences. If you paid enough money, he would do a special prayer and get him back into heaven and stuff. Let's see.
That seems like an interesting
scam.
Well, no, I mean, it might just be
it's a great hustle.
Hedge the bet. What's this cost?
Yeah, what's it cost? I mean, it's a good deal. I mean, if I only had to, pay a few $100, if it really worked, I could get my dad into heaven. The Catholic Church, Sacred Agrippa, straight.
Scared him. Well, because Agrippa was kind of Catholic, or kind of Christian. What I'd like to know more about Joe and Joe Roop's there in the chat.
Loop.
We by the way, we do have Agrippa's 4 books out on audio now. The last one came out a couple days ago.
That's cool, man. Yeah, you guys are doing some neat stuff. I was listening to Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars on the while I was driving, picking up my kid right now.
Yeah, that's pretty creepy too.
It is some creepy stuff, dude. Yeah, I'd only read like little bits and pieces here, dude. But it's okay, so it is or is not confirmed to be like, because they don't know who the writer is. Is it like fairly confirmed this was like from government, or?
I don't know, actually. I don't know. I don't want to say it's confirmed. I'm not sure.
Because damn, man, it's pretty damn
accurate.
Yeah.
Pretty what, Darren?
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah, it's pretty damning, dude. If it's fucking real.
Tick on the internet too. I mean, you never know. You never know. In 2022, you never know. If you think you know, you're wrong.
Yeah, dude. I never claimed to know anything. I like to speculate, dude. I like to have some fun. I don't know if we're in a flat world. I don't know if we're in a donut, hollow earth. I don't know if we're in a simulation.
Flat, Jesus Christ. Not fucking flat.
It's probably not flat. I don't claim that it's flat. I do think it's fucking like the flat earthers make some fucking wicked good fucking. Well, I mean, it's really easy because NASA lies all the fucking time. And so like when you can point out their lies like constantly, like they, you know what I'm saying? Let's see here. Turn the other cheek. Yes, that is Nicholas threw out a comment. That is what Christianity is about. You know, I work for some Christian anarchists too, and I make them content and stuff. And one that we just put out is like the true test for a Christian isn't loving your friends and family; it's loving those who hate you. You know, that's hey, who's the kitty?
Oh, that's Zeus. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's the hard part right now is like this guy we had on, Terry Wolf, was basically surrendering to the like that the world's gonna, you know, kind of go into this state and there's nothing they can do about it. And it's not like surrendering in a I don't know if surrender is even the right word, but just accepting, I guess, that this is where it's going, and to love your way through it, I guess, is the hardest part, right? Because it sure starts to feel like we should be pushing back a little bit harder than, you know, through love and compassion sometimes, you know?
Dude, it's difficult too. Yeah, you're absolutely right, because like they push and push and push, and like actually Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars is a perfect example of like what they're doing to push and push and push and push us into like we either snap or we die, you know, like it's like this interesting like place that they put us in. And it's like we can either push back with violence or we can learn something from like Mahatma Gandhi, we can learn something from Martin Luther King Jr., and we can just say like, hey, we can literally just like, and that's like the flag behind me, that's agorism. For me, it's like if we make a counter economy, if we decide to like pool our resources, if we decide to like work with each other, if we try to like, what do? You know, like I have chickens, you know, what, like, do you have a garden? Like if we actually just decide, you know what, fuck the state, fuck their bugs, fuck their vaccine, and we just walk away and do our own thing. Like it's harder for them to shoot a man without a gun. Like if I have a handful of carrots, like they want us angry. They want us to go January 6th. They want us to get all like, you know, all stupid and like cause a riot. And then, you know what? Then they feel justified in shooting us.
I agree with you, dude. There's not enough people waking up right now. There's not enough. So they want to wake us up more. That's why they're lying through their teeth. It's like they're poking and prodding us. Like, wake up. So that there's enough of us to revolt so then they can put the squash down. And yeah, you're right. If we all revolt with farms and, you know, our own vegetables and trade in meat and services back and forth, it's harder to shoot us if we trade.
Yeah, they don't know how to handle a peaceful revolution. You know what I'm saying? They know how to handle us if we're pissed and we're fighting. You know, if we're picking up the bricks that they drop off on the side of the road.
Well, I mean, they definitely
bricks.
I mean, they definitely tried and they succeeded at handling a peaceful protest. I mean, the whole convoy thing was alarming. I think that woke a lot of people up. It's like, okay, you want to talk about freedom? We're going to freeze your bank account. I mean, they really did do that. It's hard to believe, but
yeah, and they showed their hand pretty hard, dude.
Yeah.
And if that wasn't enough, I mean, that really should have woke some people up and say, hey, you know what? Like, we can't trust these banks. We can't trust these corporations. We can't trust any of this. And so we're going to have to like pool our money, and we're going to have to like loan it to each other. We're going to have to figure out how to do this. And like, I don't know, man.
Or the media or the government. I mean, that was as peaceful as you're going to get with that amount of people and those many, you know, trucks and large equipment. I mean, that was a good example.
Yeah, dude. I remember hearing about them like taking people's gas cans away from them. And so then finally, I think like the courts told them you're not allowed to take people's like gas away. Right. And so then the police gave the gas back, but they gave it to them with like a bunch of shit in it that would ruin their trucks.
Really? I didn't know about that. Jeez.
Yeah, they put in a bunch of like, I don't know, maybe they pissed in it or something and fucked up the gasoline, and they were trying to like, I don't know, man, it's wild. But then they were also talking about how I think specifically whatever mayor that was, he was like, hey, I think that we're going to use, I don't even know what you guys call it in Canada, but they were just going to like take shit, right? They were going to take the trucks and sell them and then just keep the money.
Yeah, repossess them or something like that.
Yeah. That shit's wild.
We call that stealing, Nate.
What's that?
All that stealing.
Yeah, it's called taxation. It's a much nicer word for it, but it's stealing. Let's see here. We got a comment. It says Sri Lanka is showing us how a real surrection is. That's interesting, man. I don't trust the whole shit going down in Sri Lanka because what's her name showed up? Like, okay, it was the same lady that worked for Obama that she showed up in She showed up in the Ukraine right when. Yeah. And so she was like there like 2 weeks before the whole shit happened in Sri Lanka. I'm pretty sure this is some CIA bullshit, dude. I don't know what it is, but let's see here. Then we got another comment. They say India over January 6th. I don't even know what's going on in India. You guys know what's going on in India? Nicholas, why don't you send us another comment and tell us what's going on in India?
Yeah, no, I don't. No.
Yeah, the world's crazy right now, man. And it seems like we're having kind of a global wake up. And it really sucks that it has to be this way, but people have to get uncomfortable before they're going to wake up. You know what I mean?
That's the other thing that kind of fits with your hypothesis about them pushing us to wake up is they sure are throwing a lot of different things at us. The gas prices, the food, all dude, making it pretty difficult.
I've been watching this for a few years. I'm in the food service industry, so I've been watching. Like I had my pulse, like my finger on the pulse for the food, and like I saw this happening 2 years ago. Like when in 2020, I was like, "Fuck this," because I really started seeing like little things. Like right now, there's a potato shortage. I can't get proper bakers right now. I have to get like funny looking potatoes and shit. I have to get like number 2s because no one can get potatoes right now, at least where I'm at. And so I would see these things happen. And like, I know this specifically too, because like I have family that like are farmers and stuff. Like my wife's aunt, she owned a pig farm. And so like, as soon as 2020 happened and they did the lockdowns, they stopped all the meat like production, like all the like processing of the meat. And so like she would normally sell her pigs and have them processed and have them like inspected and then sent out to stores and sold and things. She was put on a 2-year waiting list. Like she should have been able to get them in that week. And they're like, well, it's going to be about 2 years before we're going to be able to fucking process your meat. She was like, what? Like, yeah, all the meat processing is closed. So like, I knew that shit was going down. And so like, well, I helped her. I called a few of her pigs. And I actually taught a meat butchering class and gave out a bunch of meat to a bunch of like other agorist folks. That was actually a lot of fun. But yeah, so like I bought a fucking freezer that I could fit like 4 of me in. And I knew that shit was going down. So I bought chicken thigh, I bought briskets, I bought like everything you could imagine, just stuffed the freezer full of meat, and bought all the rice and beans and all the dumb shit you'd ever need, and tobacco, alcohol, all the matches, lighters, batteries. And that's actually what I did with my Trump bucks. So Trump gave us like
Trump gave me
Trump bucks. I went right back.
He just gave me some cash.
Yeah. Bought some fucking ammo, bought another gun, but you know what I mean?
Trump bucks.
Did you get that? You got some cash, Darren, from the government?
I got $269.
What are you going to do with it, man?
I don't know. I guess I probably spent it already. I wonder what I spent it on. I don't know. Did you have to sign into your? How did you get that? How did you have to sign in somehow on the? Just went into my account. Just got direct deposit.
Graham, you're missing out, man. Or maybe you should check your account. Maybe you're $250 richer.
No, you have to
checks.
You have to. Yeah.
They'll probably mail you a check.
Oh, I don't even have to ask for it, or?
I think it was like everybody gets it. Everybody getting paid.
And it's such a It's such a waste. It's such a waste. It's a climate incentive refund. It's bullshit. So it costs. How much did it cost them to transfer this? They charge you a bunch of carbon tax, like probably over $100 a month. We're paying in carbon tax here, and then they just give some of it back to you. Like, how much does it cost to, rape you for a bunch of money that's going who knows where, and then turn around and give some of it back to you to make you forget about paying for it. I mean, what a joke.
We always just think that they're stupid. I think like too many people just go like, especially that's like the classic dumb libertarian will just make the argument. Well, man, government is just so dumb. Why would they do this? This is so inefficient. And I'm like, that's actually what they're doing, man. That's what they do. They're like, they are literally wasting the money. They're actually like trying to throw us into a recession. Like, it's absolutely on purpose. Like, sometimes I think about this. This is a good example. So like back in, I don't know, like 2015 or something, this was, I don't know, so during the war, right? So they wanted a bunch of soldiers to sign back on for another tour, and they offered them all like 15 grand if they would sign back up, right? But it was only really supposed to be for like officers, not like infantry. But they said, fuck it, we'll give it to infantry too. So like so I think it was like about $10 million that altogether that they ended up spending and giving it to. Let me see here. My co-host is jumping in.
Hello.
So, hey, buddy. We were just talking about government spending a bunch of money and trying to collapse the economy. So I was giving the example of like, so they spent about $10 million giving money to like soldiers to sign back up for another tour when it was only supposed to go to officers. So like cut to 5 years later, they're going through the books and they're like, fuck. Well, we're going to have to get all that money back. So they're going to like infantry and telling them they have to pay the money back. And so they actually like hired a bunch of more people to go and get the money. And so it actually cost them, I think it was double. It cost them $20 million to get the $10 million back. And people are like, why the fuck would they do that? You know, and it's on purpose, dude. They literally fucking with people. Like the poorest, dumbest fucking folk that like decided to take another fucking tour and to, you know, and like risk their lives even more, you know, for dumb shit. You know, I wouldn't join the military, but you know, whatever. They fucking did it. They fucking risked their lives to do it again. And now they fucking have to pay the money back. It's fucked, dude. Anyways, it's on purpose, dude.
Anthony.
Hello. I'm pretty impressed that they could get their money back with only spending twice as much money. That seems pretty good by government standards.
That is pretty good.
That's a win, man. That's a win.
Oh yeah, in Canada that would have cost 3 times as much.
Yeah, man, it's so stupid, dude. The regulation and all the different things. Like another prime example. I think what's his name? Man, I can't think of it. Anyways, he's like the classic libertarian that's been on television for the longest time, and he'll tell you about what government is doing that's so stupid. I can't fucking think of his name.
John Stossel?
But like, yeah, Stossel. Yeah, I like Stossel. He's a goofball, but he's a good dude. Like they were talking about this. There was this like park with a really steep incline to get to it. And so like there was a bunch of old folk that were like trying to go to the park, and sometimes they would trip and shit. And so he's like, man, they need a set of stairs down here. And so like he petitioned the city, and the city was like, nah. And so he was like, fuck it. And he like hired a wetback. He hired a Mexican dude, and he's like, hey, can you help me build this? And so he went over to Home Depot. I think he spent like I don't know, like $500 on lumber, and then paid the dude $200. So it cost like $700, and he built the fucking staircase to go down the thing. And then the city got so infuriated that they came down, tore his fucking staircase down. And I think they ended up building a staircase, and it cost $200,000.
Yeah.
I've got a perfect example of that. A couple of years ago, I was living on this street. There's kind of like a back street across from the main street. And there's a giant pothole in the street. Not a huge deal. You just kind of go around it. No one really thought much of it. One day, I don't know who did this. Someone put a giant island in the road where the pothole was. They covered it up. They planted some trees, some plants. Looked pretty cool. It looked pretty homemade, but it did the job. It was very functional. Everyone was just like, oh, this is cool. Within a week, there was some fencing around it. Like they completely basically went down there, made sure no one was going to use it, tore that shit down.
Yeah, that shit sucks, man.
And that was in Portland. So that was, I don't know, some DIY efforts from some hippies.
Dude, those are the good kind of anarchists. Like, I know they're Antifa sometimes. They're mostly like leftist socialists or whatever, but like every once in a while they'll just say like, hey, the government's literally not going to do anything. So they'll go down there and they'll fill the potholes in.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's voluntary interaction. That's the people saying, hey, we pay all these taxes and the government's still fucking us. They're not helping us. And they'll go down there and fucking fill in the potholes. Or there was a guy that was spray painting like a giant dick over the potholes, and so it was like pissing the city off. So then the city would have to go down there and fix the pothole. I thought that was pretty funny. So there are people-based solutions, man. We do not need the government for this shit.
No, we can fix our own potholes.
And that's the thing, man. Go ahead, Tony. Sorry.
There's another guy who he found a way to detour traffic. I think this was California. This was like from fucking radio lab thing or something, but he basically just is sick of sitting in traffic all day long. So he found a way to detour everything so it would flow. Made his own traffic signs that looked like official traffic signs. Like this guy was an artist. He could actually like replicate the style and did this. And I guess like the city realized that he did a pretty good job and kept it up.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Usually those guys go to jail, like, or there'll be like an intersection where a lot of people get killed. And so somebody will like put up a stop sign and then that person gets arrested for putting the stop sign up.
Yeah.
So stupid, man.
Well, that was the case. Okay, so like you've been to Portland. I don't know about you, but you know all like the traffic murals in the streets where they got like a giant flower in the intersections. It's huge in Portland where you'll be going through an intersection, you'll see a mural in an intersection. Well, the group that started this, the City Build and Convergence, probably a lot of really left-leaning people, but at the core of it was that somebody died in a traffic accident. Someone got hit by a car, so the neighbors were trying to figure out like what to do to slow down traffic. So they thought like, oh, we'll just paint a mural in the street and people will look at it, it'll slow it down. And they got a lot of shit when they did that. And they were really cool about it. They were just like, no, like this is our intersection. We live here. We painted it. You're not taking it down. And eventually it got adopted by the government. And I don't know where those guys are now, but it was pretty DIY, pretty voluntary interactions. It was all good at that time.
Cool. Yeah, even leftists are right sometimes. Like a broken clock is right, twice a day.
I feel like we wouldn't get that much traction up here in Canada with stuff like that. I don't know. I feel like you guys are a little more open to that kind of protest in a way.
It takes a while to build. Yeah, I did, honestly, dude, when you guys like did the trucker shit, I didn't think you guys had it in you. I thought Canada was like basically just like bought and sold and paid for at that point. Like,
well, I mean, we are. It was pretty shocking. I mean, that's why it was pretty emotional because we didn't expect it either, really.
Yeah. Honestly, man, you guys put us to shame. Like, I was like, fuck yeah, let's go, man.
And then your politicians got involved with yours. I mean, as soon as I started seeing some of the prominent politicians, it's just like, ugh, gross.
America still, I mean, we're starting to get to that point. We're starting to like see like bare shelves in stores and stuff. But the thing is, like I said, like to wake up, we got to hurt a little bit. Like we're too fat and happy. You know what I mean? Like they just have us too like docile. They're putting fluoride in the water. We got like McDonald's. We got like fucking Krispy Kreme donuts. We got whatever was in the fucking shot. We got Pornhub. Like we're just like fat and stupid and happy. We can just watch football when we get off of work, and you know what I mean? And so like it's gonna take something to smack us in the face.
When are you guys gonna open up your borders for 6 million of us that want to come down?
I'd open up right now, man. Come on in.
Is there any word about that at all, or is there any talk about that? Because like the unjabbed still aren't supposed to go to the USA right now.
Is that true? I didn't even know that. Like if you're foreign or
yeah, dude, yeah.
I know that my friend. So we have a friend of the show. He's from Scotland. I was going to say Ireland, but he's from Scotland. And I know that he was here for a while, and then he went down to Mexico for like I think like Anarcho Poco or something. Like one of the cool little anarchist festivals down in Mexico. And then he couldn't get back in the States. He had his passport. He just wasn't jabbed. So he was like, he had to stay in Mexico for an extra fucking like 3 months, 4 months, something like that.
Even coming up through the southern border, he couldn't get in.
Well, it's a rough ride if you go that route. Yeah, they don't make it easy. But yeah, dude, apparently, like if you listen to the fucking news, like I think we're getting like 500,000 people like every month, something like that. It's pretty wild that are coming out from the southern border, and those are only the ones they know about. You know what I mean? There's so many that they don't know about. I'm not like a crazy closed border dude, so like I don't necessarily care, but I do understand like if you want, I don't know, something like To me, you know what's the funniest fucking thing, dude, is like listening to the, you know, the left liberals, like whatever that Eric, whatever his name is in New York. Do you know who I'm talking about? Who's the mayor of New York? Tony, you know who the mayor of New York is?
I don't. And
he's a black dude, and I can't think of his name. Eric something. Anyways, so like simultaneously, they'll say, if you support closed borders, you are a bigot and you're a racist and you're a fucking asshole. And then what's funny is that like some Abbott, what the fuck is his name?
Greg Abbott, maybe?
Yeah, Greg Abbott. Yeah, the governor of Texas. He is taking all of the migrants that come into Texas and he's shipping them to Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is then shipping them straight to New York. And I find that hilarious, dude, because Eric Adams, his name is Eric Adams. So the mayor of New York is actually like freaking out, and he just put out a thing and he's like, hey, stop doing that. You guys are ruining our social cohesion. We can't deal with this many immigrants all at once. And dude, so he's like a closed border. Like, dude, it's just so funny listening to their fucking bullshit.
How much are we spending on busing people?
A lot, I'm assuming.
Who is like brother-in-law is working for the busing industry?
Yeah, double now with the extra gas prices.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah, man, that's all a sham too, dude. I mean, if you can't see it, then you're fucking stupid, man. It's like simultaneously, like we're trying to blame this on Russia. We're trying to say that we can't get fucking like that's why the gas prices are so expensive. And then at the same time, fucking Joe Biden is saying that we're going to shut down production. And like, cause apparently like America is the biggest fucking exporter of oil in the world. Like we have the most fucking oil, and we're just going to shut down production. We're not going to allow for more drilling, and we're going to shut down like all the pipelines and shit. And then he's also trying to blame Russia. You know what I mean? And then at the same time, which I find so fucking funny, he's telling everybody just buy electric. Everyone just buy electric. And then he's telling people, hey, like, especially in Texas down there, they're like, hey, maybe you shouldn't charge your Tesla cars because the electricity grid is a little haywire. So like, they're really just trying to like fucking set us back in the Stone Ages. They're like, everybody use electric. Also, the electric grid doesn't work.
Did you hear that clip about I think it was one of the head guys at GM talking about how the electric cars are going to be really good for the revenue in the future?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be great.
They're going to be able to get people on these subscription programs with all these added monthly benefits in there, because everything's going to be, you know, like how Tesla gets all the updates through the internet and all that. And they were like super excited about this, the future.
Will be tied into my social credit system.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. That's going to be awesome.
Sorry, your car will not start today because you didn't, you know.
Yeah, we're fucked.
You're sorry, your car won't start today because you called Bill Gates a fat tranny online.
That'll be a week suspension for you.
Yeah, that's the way it's going to start off, like a week suspension. But then that's enough to get you fired from your job.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, I don't know how any of that's going to work, dude. And then at the same time, they're like buying up like BlackRock and all this stuff. Are trying to buy up all the homes, and then they're also trying to buy all the farmland. And Bill Gates, I think, is the number one owner of farmland in the United States. They're trying to choke us out, and it's time for us to wake the fuck up.
Yeah.
What's it going to take, Darren?
Oh, I don't know. I just mind my business. And, you know, anyone who wants to listen to my podcast and hear what I have to say can figure it out that way. Or if I bump into you and we start talking, you know, they can figure it out that way. But other than that, I'm content to sit back and see what happens.
Now, did you see recently too? There's like, I don't know, this got in the news, and these things always just get in the news. And so, but it's like this one company, well, right there in your neck of the woods in Canada, right? Like they started the biggest grasshopper farm in the world or whatever, right? Big grasshopper factory. And they're already starting to put it in food right now. And you'll start to notice too, is like, they're going to have to stick a little extra warning on there because folks that are allergic to shellfish are also allergic to eating the exoskeletons of the bugs.
Interesting.
basically saying like fucking crabs and shrimp are just basically bugs. It's true. But those are the bugs I choose to eat.
Yeah, I think they're starting up a plant in Ontario, a pretty big plant. I don't know. If
I think it's the biggest in the world, man.
Probably got government subsidies or something in there. I'm sure
100%,
the politicians
yeah.
have their little paws in there.
You pay for the whole thing.
Part of me is like, this is a really good industry for someone to get into as a startup, though, like to compete with these people, because I feel like they're gonna market it so the next generation, like, it's gonna see bugs as food where we feel like it's some weird shit. Just like we see pigs and cows, and if you think about eating anything, it's pretty disgusting.
See, Tony is slightly pro bug, which is a problem for me, but yeah, I don't know, man.
It's free to eat bugs if he wants. I mean, the forcing is the thing I have a problem with. If there's
completely
for bugs, I mean, giddy up, Tony. You go fill that hole, and eat your bugs. But I mean, I might even try them sometime. If I go down to a festival and there's some like deep fried fucking bug candy.
It is funny, dude. The rest of the world does eat fucking bugs.
Yeah.
But I ain't really interested in eating most of what the supply chain is trying to cram down my throat. So
then you shouldn't.
The bugs are probably healthier than half the shit they're feeding you right now. So
they won't.
That's the thing.
With that.
Exactly.
Feeding you right now isn't even real food. I mean, you look at some of this keto stuff or some of this gluten-free stuff that you can throw it in the backyard and the fucking bugs won't even touch it. So I mean, we're pretty far gone from our food. I mean, it's interesting that it's bugs that people are going to get up in arms about when they've been eating like glyphosate and pesticide and fucking plastic and all this other shit for 50 fucking years.
Yeah, it's just another thing.
Probably
it's just
the bugs were like, we were better off when they weren't bleaching the wheat and there's some bugs in the bread.
100%, dude. And we're eating bugs right now. There's a certain amount of like fucking cricket assholes that are allowed in every candy bar you eat. And yeah, I don't know, man. It's interesting. I don't like them forcing it. And like Tony was saying, like, it's like eating fucking grasshoppers in your yard right now. It's probably not that bad for you. The bugs that they're going to give you in that fucking factory, they're going to be, well, first of all, I think they're probably going to genetically modify those fucking grasshoppers and have like sweet, juicy assholes. And then they're going to be feeding them a bunch of GM fucking soy and corn and all kinds of nasty shit. And so they're going to be terrible. They're not going to feed us something good.
No.
They're not going to feed me anything.
So they're feeding you right now, Darren. What are you eating? What's in your fridge?
My fridge is filled with, mostly stuff my meat source comes from shit I shot.
Nice. I like it.
And, my chicken comes from the farm. I mean, I think it's the farm. It's called Sprague Farms. I go to a place here and buy a bunch of it at a time.
Yeah,
and,
brother.
So all I'm really getting from the store are my fresh stuff, vegetables, fruits, rice once in a while. But I got a bunch of rice. I got an awful lot of rice. I got more rice than I need for the next like 5 fucking years. I bought like 150 pounds of rice because
same, man.
I thought I would go through it faster. But here we are like 2 years later, and I'm not even through the first 50-pound bag. So,
you still have chickens, Darren? Or
I have chickens in my backyard. Yes. So I have like egg supply.
That's nice, man. They'll give you a ton of eggs, dude. I actually just got rid of my chickens. I'm getting quails instead. Yeah. I'm getting quails right now because, dude, they grow so fast. Like within 3 months, they're producing eggs, and they're fat and juicy. I like quails, dude, and they like produce like rabbits, dude. And they're quieter than chickens. They're chill and they're nice. Like you can pick them up and play with them and stuff. And I got my little one, dude. He liked the chickens, but the chickens didn't like him. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna make the quail sit on his lap and shit. And
I used to go to this little food cart, and they had sliders, these little burgers, and they had little quail eggs on top of them. Great.
Yeah, buddy. I like quail eggs, and I like quail meat. That's the route I'm going. And, I mean, they'll be knocking on your door here pretty soon. They'll say that there's bird flu out, and they're going to have to kill all your chickens. And
I'm already not supposed to have chickens.
Well,
I mean, they can come here and say whatever they want, but in my experience, everyone's too scared to say anything about anything. except on the internet. So
I like it, man. I don't ask permission. If I want to build something on my land, I just do it. I'm building a tree house. I'm not asking the city.
Yeah, my neighbors just seem fine with everything I do, but they also see me piling guns in and out of my truck on a monthly, weekly basis. So maybe that plays a role. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just because I'm a real nice person and I don't fucking bother them at all because I don't give a fuck what they're up to. And when I have a good harvest, I'll bring them some eggs or bring them some meat, and I act like a good neighbor. I mean, chickens are pretty quiet.
You gotta be really fucked up.
Rooster, so
Yeah,
if I got a horse back there, people might freak out. Or a pig. I don't know. People might not even notice pig. My buddy Tommy lives over here. He's got a pig that weighs like 300 fucking pounds. But he calls it a pet, I think, so he gets away with it. I bet you Tommy eat that fucking pig if he gets hungry enough. I might eat that pig if I get hungry enough. But by the time I get that hungry, most of y'all are dead, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing is like, I'm not going to be able to eat. Like, well, maybe my neighbors would be all right to eat, but like these people are going to be so full of spike proteins, you're not even going to want to eat them.
Yeah, I don't think eating people goes good long term anyway, especially not the people we're raising right now. But I just got enough food to hold up for like 9 months and then go out and see what's left and hopefully establish a lordship of some kind.
I like it, man. You guys want to tell us about the trips you're taking?
Well, we're going to see the Channel Scablands of Washington State with Russel Carlson here.
You're going to Washington?
Going to Washington, yeah.
Shit, dude, that's pretty close to me. I might have to fucking come out and say hi.
We go to Washington quite a bit. It's one of our regular tours. This is the one we're pretty good at. We've done it a few times. So we're going again. We're running 2 weeks this time, 2 back-to-back weeks. I think right now there's about 30% left for each week. So maybe like 8 to 10 spots left for each week. Private rooms might be gone, but it's close. Anyway, we got one from the 19th to the 24th of September with Russel Carlson, the Brothers of the Serpent, and Ben from Uncharted X, and of course Russel Carlson and Brad, and our good friend Brandon Powell, who's one of Wim Hof's good buddies and one of his American instructors, comes along with us. We do the breath work and we get in the ice tub and do all that kind of stuff. And then we have the second week running September 26th to October 1st, which is the same crew, except Brandon's got to go home and David Matheson is coming out. And that week, instead of breath work and cold training, we're going to do some star miss and stargazing out at night. So
I like it, man. That sounds like fun.
People love it. Yeah. It is kind of pricey. The price tag does scare some people off, but I mean, it is all inclusive. So, we basically pick you up Monday from Seattle or Spokane, feed you, travel you around, give you a place to stay, all that stuff for 5 days straight, and bring you back to the airport Saturday afternoon. So.
And just to give people an idea, like we're traveling around in vans with Randall. He's on a radio, like a private radio, to all the vans, talking about the landscape and how it sort of has to do with the context of the Younger Dryas and the massive flooding that took place there. Then we stop at all the places, take a look around. He does lectures at night, and we
hang out. It's a total hangout. It's a total hangout with Randall. It's not like a regular conference where the presenters do the thing about go back to their room. It's very much intimate and interactive. You'll hang out with Randall and maybe you'll have a hoot with him. Who knows? Crazier things have happened. So once in a while, he'll give the odd group his moon lecture, which is phenomenal and mind-blowing. And we do a bunch of these things. We do another one with Greg Carlwood from the Higher Side Chats coming up next February, where we're going to Mount Shasta in California and doing a bunch of stuff there, a bunch of magic stuff. So that's going to be a fun one too. But all that stuff's over at contact@thecabin.com. And we take pride in our tours being some of the best in the business and hopefully giving people the trip of a lifetime. We hear from a lot of people that it's the best trip they've done. So, and I think honestly, it's got less to do with what we're doing and more to do with the fact that all the people that are like into doing it are super cool. So by nature, you just end up with a super cool group of people every time.
That's cool,
And
man.
they're all like-minded, so you can have all these crazy conversations that maybe you gotta eke out around your home or your work. You can't really do it. You know, the podcasters, we're lucky we can just blab all day, but our listeners, they're just listening, and maybe there's nobody in their life they can talk to, or maybe there's just one guy they talk to once in a while. But then they
Well, I
come,
mean, that's exactly why I podcast.
you have
You know,
trouble
to give my wife a break, first
on a
of all.
conversation because there's so much cool shit going on.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah, man. That sounds like a fucking hang, dude. It would be awesome to go. Dude, Mount Shasta, I think, might be a little closer to me. No, it wouldn't. Actually, I think Washington would be closer to me, but that would be a lot of fun, dude. There's a lot of crazy shit about Mount Shasta, too. That's a place to do magic. That's an interesting spot, man.
Totally.
There's a lot of folks that go missing out in Mount Shasta.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be reading any missing 411 books or anything before these trips.
We'll have plays on right before.
I like it, man. What kind of stuff are you doing? Like looking at the stars? Are you guys going over, like you said, like star myths and stuff?
Well, I'm not doing shit. That's we get Dave Matheson out to do all that stuff. Yeah, he does. He's the star myth guy. He's a bro.
I'm afraid of the ice baths.
Check out his website. I think he's got his brand new website up and running now. What's the title of his first book?
The Undying Stars, maybe?
UndyingStars.com, yes.
That's cool, man. Yeah, dude, that's super awesome. One of these days, I'm going to have to fucking do that. I have to come and hang out with you guys.
Yeah, hanging out with Russel Carlson while he's giving a lecture under the stars. That seems pretty epic.
It's pretty dreamy.
Yeah.
And seeing the Scablands in person is like, it's hard to believe it's not a more popular touristy kind of thing, because some of the shots that we get from there and the you know the Potholes Cataract and the Dry Falls, and I mean these are huge sites, you know, it's brilliant and beautiful.
But there's so many sites on this planet. Like, that's a really cool thing, is that this planet is full of really cool shit, and some places we all know about, so we all try to get there. But there's all these other places that no one knows about unless you know, and then you can go there, and they're not popular. And
yeah, exactly. And then it's and he's really about, like, not only just checking the sites out and stuff, but sort of investigating it from, like, hey, this is what we think might have happened 12,000 years ago. You know, he kind of wants to try and solve the problem too, right? There's a problem with what happened in our past, and he really makes an effort to try and sort of get to the bottom of that.
What's your opinion on, like, this upcoming, people are talking about either is the world going to get hotter or is the world getting colder? Are we, like, heading for a solar minimum? Have you guys thought about any of that?
Get both. It's going to get fucking crazy. Just be ready for anything. That's my advice. But I think the party is over when it comes to stable climate. I'm not sure how much we had to do with it. I would say my personal opinion is probably less than 10%, probably a lot less than that. But we wrecked a bunch of shit too. So, I mean, we don't get a pass. I mean, we've been dumping shit into the ocean and all sorts of horrible shit for a while. So, but I think in a bunch of ways the jig is up. The jig is up. It's going to take 20 or 30 years to collapse. But
what do you think? How much of that is the heart machine? How much do you think is
going more back to natural? I think.
Yeah, and that could be good. I think that could be good. It's an interesting thing, man, because there's a fucking book out that, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but he was basically talking about how because like all the governments around the world have basically been telling people not to have babies, that there's going to be a huge population decline, like a huge population crash, and that there's just not going to be enough people to, like, keep up with the infrastructure. And so, like, the United States and the rest of the world we're heading for a gigantic fucking, as far as, like, comfortability, collapse, like hardcore, because there's literally just not enough people to keep up the infrastructure.
I think I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Peter Zehan. Was he on Mysterious Universe recently?
Yep.
Yeah,
dude, that was fascinating as shit.
I haven't listened to it. I just got friends of mine that have told me to the book sounds very amazing. Peter Zian, maybe is his name.
Yeah.
Does that
Yep.
make sense?
Yeah. I actually just reach out to him. Hopefully I'll hear back and talk to that dude.
The end of the world is just the beginning. That I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fascinating as fuck, dude, and kind of horrifying. He says actually though that America is the best suited for it because I think we have enough. Like, it's going to be at least semi-temperate here, and there's going to be enough. Like, there's going to be enough like farmland, and like we have better infrastructure. I think like Europe is pretty fucked, Asia is fucked, Africa's real fucked. Like it seems like we're we're going back to the Stone Age, man. We're gonna see the fall of Rome happen all over again, maybe.
And he's not talking about he's not talking about a real instant sort of cataclysm, but just a sort of a gradual decline, or.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where that old saying, like, how did I go broke? He goes, well, a little at first and then a lot all of a sudden. So I think it's going to be one of those things. It's like we're going like this. Here's the roller coaster. We're getting to the fucking top, and yeah, so it's going to seem slow, and then it's not going to seem slow. Maybe if he's correct, I don't claim to know, but it's a fascinating. And the thing is, like, he's not like a conspiracy theorist. He's like just working numbers. Like, he's, you know what I mean? And that's what's scarier about it, because he's trying to be realistic.
Dude, his bio is pretty intimidating. I'm like, holy cow, can we even get this guy on the show? I mean, he's like,
man.
Yeah, you should.
Oh,
man.
yeah, sure. Yeah.
That would be interested in that, and within a generation or two, if that keeps up, there'll be people who have this level of technology now, but there'll be other people living at the Stone Age.
Just like now.
Yeah, just like now. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. But I think I think the divide is going to be much more, you know what I mean? I think there's going to be just like Bill Gates and his homies up here and everybody else, Well,
I think we're going to have to make some decisions coming up in the near future here. How we want to live, how, do we want to be in the smart cities with all the social credit and the technology, or do we want to be on the outskirts, sort of trying to live off the land in little communities? I mean, I really think that it seems like they're pushing towards that here pretty quick.
Well, see, yeah, exactly. And I think that is like my white pill for everybody. It's like, if this is the time right now, we still have food in the store. We still have enough comforts to take care of us. We still have air conditioning in the summer. We have heaters in the fucking winter. Right now is the time to learn some fucking skills, man. Like, learn how to make a fucking bow and arrow. I don't know. Like, learn actually how to grow shit, like, learn some fucking skills that while we still have the internet at our fingertips, like get some fucking valuable fucking skills that you would actually be able to use. Let's say the end of the world comes. You know what I mean? This is the time. We can't waste this fucking time. Darren, it sounds like you're steps ahead already, and good for you, brother.
I'm probably more prepared than most people.
That's good for you.
And hopefully your community. Yeah, absolutely, brother. Yeah, that's the one thing I'd like to tell folks. It's just like, we're not going to be like, no matter how you cut it, like, even if that doesn't happen or, whatever happens, it's like we have seen at least that we cannot depend on our government. And there's too many folks that just literally depend on the government.
The beauty about food is you can eat it anyway. It's not like, I'm throwing it, I just, run with that supply and top it up monthly at that level.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt, but make sure you have, like, dude, I'm a beaner, I guess. So I bought a bunch of beans. So, like, I got black beans, I got red beans, I got fucking lentils, I got white beans, I got all this shit in my house, and I got like brown rice, I got white rice, I got fucking like cow rose sushi rice, I got fucking jasmine rice, I got basmati. Like, I wanted to make sure I had a variety so I wouldn't get bored. Bought a fuck ton of canned goods. We got a canner, we got a giant freezer, and we just want to be fucking prepared. Just in case, like you said, just having the food, fuck it. Like, even if you have too much and I sound like an idiot, I'll still have food.
No, just prepare for what your worst case scenario is, and then go on with your life, I think, is the best way to do it.
We might sound like Noah right now telling everybody to get on the boat. And then when the fucking raindrops come.
I don't have a boat. No boats. I just, I think everyone should prepare for their personal worst case scenario, whatever that is. Prepare for it the best way you can, and then just go on with your life.
I like boats, though. I do want a boat. I
Boats-
don't own a boat now.
Boats are great. I have a little boat just in case, revelation comes. But that's going to get old quick because it's not a very big boat.
I'm going to build a bigger boat.
Long enough to outlast the neighbors and laugh at them. Ha ha.
Wow, shit, man. And how are you guys getting into the country? Have you guys figured that out? Is this secret? You're not going to say it online?
I mean, it's a pretty big border. It's a pretty big field. And pretty big field and a pretty big border. I'm pretty sure it won't be too hard.
And you got a boat.
Well, there's no water. But
And they don't ask. Your border guards are cool, man. They don't ask. They don't. You don't need to show them nothing.
Really? To get in from Canada?
Yeah. I'm just saying. A lot of times. Yeah, a lot of times. And you come back through, and they're like, all masked up, asking you a million questions, bugging you.
That's
sometimes,
funny, man.
Pretty gross.
But you can
I
have-
tell you, that's what it's like. It's the awesome. We got another comment here. Good discussion, fellas. Well, thank you very much. See, it's the exact opposite with Mexico. Like, well, at least it was. I don't know what the fuck it's like now, but in Mexico, like, you literally just drive through and they don't give a shit. And then they hassle the shit out of you when you're trying to get back in the States. Like, we had a van that we were driving in, and like we had gone off-roading and like ran through mud and shit. And so there was like a bunch of mud all over, like caked it like on the van. And so they gave a shit. They said, "You're bringing foreign soil into the United States."
No way.
I was like, yeah, I swear to God, they were being dicks. They were like, "No, you need to pull over here. You need to dust off your car. You have to wash it before you're allowed to go back in the United States."
Well, I did get stopped because I had elk in the car, and I had to turn around and drop that off. So I did get stopped for having raw meat, or not raw meat, but wild meat, in the car, because I didn't have a license to hunt it because it was Darren's and he was already in the States. So that was a bit of a pain.
You just have a big mouth.
I just didn't
Did you
lie. I
admit
just
to
don't
it?
lie about it. Well, yeah. I mean, he asked if I said, yeah, I got some elk in the cooler. Like, pull over.
That's hilarious, man. That's funny. Yeah, I don't say nothing. I'm like, "Do you have anything?" No. I don't talk to cops.
Last time I went down, they searched me.
Did they really? That's funny, man. That sucks. I have not been patted down or any of that fun stuff. I don't think I'm allowed in Canada. I don't think they'll let me in, man. I was 18, 19, something like that. I got a DUI. And
Well,
yeah,
no,
I'm
you're
pretty sure.
out for life if you had DUI.
Mhm.
Is that for life?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You have to like jump through hoops.
Got in that has a DUI. Yeah, it's pretty tough.
You gotta I have to go file for like partial like temporary residency or something and pay like $200, and then I can go in for like 2 weeks and then leave. There's like some weird loophole around it, but I'd have to like hire a lawyer, do a bunch of bullshit, and it's just not worth it. Because like if I want to be in bitter ass cold and shit, I can just go to Alaska.
There you go. And you could probably just drive through Canada anyway if you say you're going to Alaska.
Really?
I didn't even think about that.
The
That's
rules
funny.
are since COVID, but I think there's like provisions for that.
Yeah, they were allowing some people to drive through during COVID, I think, if they said they were going to Alaska, I think.
Good to know. That's a good tip.
Yeah.
Going to
I've just
Alaska.
never like I went to Victoria when I was a kid and like rode the ferry and like hung out at Busch Gardens and had a good time. And I always wanted to go back, but I didn't want to go all the way there just to get turned around. So I just haven't even tried again. So
Yeah, and that's why it's stopping a bunch of people in Canada from going down there, because you don't want to go all the way to the border and make all these plans and then have them say, no, you can't come in. You got to show us this paper or that paper. So yeah, so that's why I was asking about, when are you going to let 6 million of us come in? I have a theory that it's because that's where people are going to congregate. I mean, if you guys let the unjabbed in, then a whole bunch of freedom-loving unjabbed people are going to start congregating in Texas and Florida. I mean,
dude, it's funny, man. Trudeau just keeps going crazier and crazier with that shit over there, man. Like, did he what is you guys actually know this shit? Like, I only hear what I hear on the news, so the news is whatever. But did he took away guns? Is that true? Like handguns, or what did he outlaw recently?
Nothing really. He said some stuff, but he hasn't done anything yet.
Okay, it was just all talk then.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying that either.
You're handsome communist up there.
He did make all the guns sell out. I mean, there was no more handguns, right, Darren? And didn't they sell out the handguns?
Yeah, they were sold out for a while. I don't know if they've been repopulating the shelves yet or not, but we sold like 60,000 handguns in a week.
Dude, I always find that so funny. It's like they go hard on the guns, and then all it does is sell more guns, dude. Like Obama, I think, was like the best fucking gun salesman ever, and probably Joe Biden now. But I mean, at this point, dude, get a 3D printer. Just do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's easier than ever. Just make guns at home and just shut the fuck up about it. You could make a fucking AR for $100, dude. It's pretty quick. It's pretty easy. It's like overnight, you can have a fucking new gun. And they're pretty solid at this point. Like, the technology was pretty wonky at one point. It's pretty fucking solid now.
You don't want it in your face.
Sorry. What were you saying?
Don't want it to blow up in your face, that's for sure. But I'm good for now. I'm armed.
Yeah, dude, but I want like my whole. Well, I live in rural Oregon out here. It's pretty nice. Everybody out here is pretty much armed. It's pretty nice, man. It's pretty relaxed, dude. And say what you want about like I'm not a Trump guy. I never have been, but I know who I'd rather have be my neighbor. And that's basically why I moved out here. It's like I'd either like, do I want like kind of a rednecky conservative dude that like at least pretends to love freedom and isn't jabbed and has guns and wants to drink beer and hang out? Or do I want some like fucking asshole fascist dickhead with a mask on that like is going to tell me what I want to do? Like tell my kid that he's probably trans or something, like I'd much rather have the redneck as my neighbor. It's pretty nice. So what is where do you guys live at? Is it pretty chill? Like, is it just really like the crazy liberal centers out there in Canada too, or are there a lot of sane folk in Canada?
There's plenty, yeah. I mean, I know everyone I know is pretty cool.
And it does make a difference where we live. We live in the Texas of Canada, so it's it's pretty chill where we are. But BC is a little bit different. Vancouver's a little bit different, It's like California, I would say. Back east is kind of similar to back east there. It's kind of the similar thing, I think, except our politics are more. Doesn't really matter who's in power here. It's just all the same. It's like one big party, so there's very little difference, I think. They all our governments wanted mandates, and the one party that would say that there wasn't any mandates isn't even allowed to debate or get on the media or get on the TV. So it's very much controlled through the media right now.
Are you guys involved in politics at all, or have you guys kind of given up on that?
No, I've involved as in talking about it or actually like doing something about it.
Both.
We talk about it when we have to, but I'm pretty disillusioned with the whole thing. I think they're all a bunch of liars. The media is liars. I mean, it's just as bad as. It's funny because when COVID happened, it made a bunch of people start paying attention to it, because I didn't think it was as bad as it was. But Canada's just as bad as the States as far as just funneling money to wherever to launder it, and the corruption and the lies, and they pay our media directly. I had this post about our media. It's just, oh yeah, I should actually read it here. It might be interesting to you guys, that especially Darren. I don't think he's seen this post, but it's about, and I haven't fact checked it, but $1.5 billion of our taxpayers goes to this media, right? And we only have like a few main stations, but the CBC is our main media source. They have 143 executive directors, including 8 directors of finance, 9 directors of legal services, and 26 directors of tech and infrastructure. They do not reveal the details of remuneration and bonuses, of course. We know the CEO and New York City resident, Catherine Tate, is paid almost $500,000 a year plus expenses and bonuses. So even for a federal government devoid of performance metrics, spending tens of billions of dollars, it's a stretch to see how, with TV ratings hitting all-time lows, the bonus money has anything to do with performance. but maybe audience size isn't their job. As veteran political commentator Paul Wells says, it's the most spectacular public relations asset. So they're there to pop out a fake headline so the government can make decisions around that.
100%, dude. Like, you fucking nailed it. That's exactly what it is. It's like, because on the free market, like, I'm an autistic libertarian. So like let's say free market capitalism, that CBC would have fucking shut down already. There's not enough people watching it. They're not going to get enough revenue in. Like, they would have gone by the wayside.
It doesn't matter though, right? It's not about ratings anymore or even business or anything. It's about the one fucking headline they can throw around social media and have that go viral. That's fake.
And then they also have the veneer of authenticity, and they're like, we are the mainstream media and we're saying X. And so they can say, like, this is the mainstream. This is like, we're the experts and this is our expert opinion. And like you said, it's like, exactly. So then the government can be like, okay, well, we've heard from the experts, and
yeah. That, and also it gives the illusion of more compliance than there actually is, because it makes someone who's disagreeing with this at home going, well, probably I see through this bullshit, but I don't think anyone else does. When in reality, there's a shitload of people that are like, wait a minute, this is bullshit. But we get cowed in these positions of like, we think this like this. We kind of perceive a mass compliance that may or may not be there.
Yeah, that's a great point. And they do a really good job at making it sound like they're being, controversial or they're going back and forth. Like, they make it seem like that, but really it's just all theater.
It's theater, man. Yeah, and politics is theater. Yeah, I gave up on it probably about 2-3 years ago. Like, I thought, like, hey, maybe if we get the right people in, we just need to vote harder. And I'm going to vote for Gary Johnson. I think that was the guy at the time that was going against Donald Trump. And it's just a fucking joke, dude. Politics is a fucking joke.
And we'll see what happens, because they're still pushing this jab, and they're still touting how safe and effective it is. And, we're seeing some completely different. So at some point, are they going to be held accountable, or like, what's it going to take for people to go, whoa, you better fucking shut the program down,
It's fascinating. Exactly what you're saying. It's like people are starting to see through the fucking veneer, through the fucking lie, because it's like, for the most part, like, I still, like, I live in a rural area, but I have to work in like a big area, so I like work in, like, not downtown, but close enough where there's a bunch of liberals and stuff. And like, I think there's only, out of like this couple hundred people that I work with, me and 2 other people are the only unjabbed people. Right. And so it's like, they're starting to see this shit happen. Like, dude, this fucked up. But like, my buddy's niece, she was 27 years old. She's a school teacher. She was very fit. She loved to go hiking. She was like really pretty, nice girl. Giant fucking heart attack, blood clots, heart attack, died.
Yeah.
My wife's sister, same story, but she was like in her 40s. She was like a school librarian. She like at a university, very fucking progressive and liberal, and like was jabbed to the max, got her booster and everything. Blood clots straight to the heart, fucking died.
Dude,
like, people are starting to.
And the official data is starting to show it, and we know a lot of that's already skewed and everything. So when there's official data shows it, it's pretty bad. But even from the BC Health website, the CDC, the BC CDC, so it's the province next door, COVID health outcomes by vaccination status, right? So they've got the vaccination status. There's 13% that are unvaccinated, 52 that are 3+ doses, 31 with 2 doses. And then it goes to hospitalizations, critical care, and deaths. When you get to deaths, 76% of the deaths are 3+ doses.
Yeah.
Another 13, 2 doses, and only 10% unvaccinated. So you've got less of a percentage there. And this is all per 100,000. It's all normalized at per 100,000.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just,
or it's actually not, sorry, I should say it's a percentage, right? So
yeah,
it's not normalized, but I mean, this is their official data. So who's looking at this and who's who's allowing this to go ignored, right? And then in Ontario, they took away that status. So in June, on June 23rd. So they're obviously seeing that, hey, this isn't working. Our official numbers are showing how bad it is. Let's stop tracking that status. I mean, This is the official website.
I mean, that goes back to like, I mean, our celebrities and our elitists and everything. Like, it's that funny thing where you're like, did they get the same thing that everybody else got? Because like, if so, like you'd think we'd be seeing some Congress people dropping like flies. They're in their fucking 80s, they're not in the best of health. They're like a bunch of old creeps. Like they probably got saline, dude.
Well, I think it's coming out that a bunch of doctors did too. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, it's wild, brother. It is fucking wild. So what are the next moves for the Grimerica bros?
We're putting out some good audiobooks. We're throwing out an audiobook in Grimerica Outlawed, our feed, so subscribers get a free audiobook. We're going to put out every week like a chapter or a section of the history of magic. It's a 1,000-page book on the history of magic, going back to all kinds of stuff like the Egyptians, anything you can think of from magic is there. So that's going to be kind of a bonus for everybody as an audiobook. We got a lot of other audiobooks out now. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. Yeah.
1,000 pages.
Well, that's 1 and 2. There's volume 1 and 2. Volume 1 is like 450 pages. I think the other one's a little over 500. So they got like magic of the Romans, of the Greeks, the healing stuff, the Israelites, magical influences. It gets into magic in general, goes through all the different types. It's pretty in depth. So that's kind of one of our latest projects that we're working on for Grimerica Outlawed. Plus, we do our weekly show there still too. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. That's so fucking cool. I've been trying to dig into it more and trying to learn some of the stuff, like the background and the mystery schools. And yeah, it's fucking fascinating, dude.
Yeah.
I think next weekend we've got like a pretty cool panel of some interesting folks. We're gonna talk about the Google Lambda shit, and like I really want to get into like, dude, they that one dude turned that fucking thing into a golem. He turned the fucking AI into a golem, man. It's so fucking fascinating, dude. Like, yeah, all this, like, and so even if you want to say the AI isn't real, I mean, or whatever it is, it's like a mirror of the programmer. Like that guy that was like working with it, he was like a crazy cool occultist. Like, that's just fucking fascinating, man. And like those computers are starting to like interact with each other and starting to talk with each other. Like, what are your thoughts on like any of the AI and like possible sentience? Do you guys have any opinions on that?
Well, I mean, I've heard Dan Winter talk about plasma, how when plasma is created, it becomes intelligent. So, and then we talked a long time ago about sort of the digital simulation or the, this being a simulation and what happens if you make a brain that basically consciousness will come to the brain. So it's kind of like, in a way, it's like Golem-ish, right? I mean, you create something that can hold that and it comes. So, I mean, who knows where it comes from but I mean, I find that pretty fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's a theory that I've been rolling around in my head for a little bit. It was just like, because we know for the longest time that our elites are like in communion with these like interdimensional beings, or they at least claim to be, right? And so they're talking to these entities from, somewhere else. And like, it feels like that a lot of the technology push and all this stuff has been going towards AI and like these sentient computers and things like that. Like a symbiote may be something that we would merge with. And it seems to me that like, I think that these beings, like, cause basically what is your brain? Like it's a fucking computer, right? We have like a supercomputer in our head. And so like, to me, like where I've been kind of going with it is that like these interdimensional beings are trying to like, they're trying to have them build something that can house them so that they can come here, something. Yeah, it's super fucking fascinating.
So is the internet that then? I mean, will it become conscious? I mean,
I think so, dude.
It's not like 10 years ago that would have sounded crazy, but nowadays it doesn't sound so crazy. I mean,
it could be the connection between the two dimensions and things like that. Well, absolutely, it could be the highway.
But it's like, I think it's feeding off of our consciousness. Like it's not conscious without us. Like we're the batteries to it, or we're the plug, and whatever we feed it, it's gonna create. So
I think that's why Elon. This is my theory. My little pet theory on Elon is that's why he wants Twitter, because he wants to clean the fucking thing up and get a real picture of humanity so he can upload it into his fucking brain stuff or whatever he's making. Because you don't want to upload what's in there now. It's a bunch of fucking garbage. It's going to give you a mishmash of bullshit, a bunch of bots and a bunch of, one-sided censorship. I mean, but so if you were going to have a platform to upload to get a true picture of humanity, like a section of the internet, if you'd say, then you got to clean it up.
100%, dude. I mean, there's so much like biometrics and all this crazy information about us on Twitter. Like, it's probably a bargain just for that sort of information. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Fucking A, dude. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not fucking with a Neuralink. No chips in my head. No fucking jabs in my veins. For now, I'm not going to put any bugs in my mouth.
But I mean, dude, like you said at the beginning, though, with the Catholic priests and the bishops and all this, right? I mean, I do think that there's masters in the realms that are humans. I mean, they're just adept humans that are playing around in those realms, and we think they're other phenomena. Who knows what they could be? Maybe they could be anything to us. I really do think they can be manipulating all kinds of stuff and projecting themselves in whatever way they want to us. So I think that's something that I'm sort of working on in my head too, as a kind of a theory on, these ancient brotherhoods and mystics that are able to traverse those realms, and how, if they can do that, then they might be causing a bunch of shit for us, right?
Dude, 100%. I hadn't even really thought about that, but you're right. I mean, like, everything is a manipulation, and for them to even come out and talk about that lambda, for them to put that into the public ether and things like that, that could be just like slow disclosure. They're saying, hey, this thing's sentient, but really it's like, dude, it's like, what's that? The Wizard of Oz. They're like, you know what I mean? It's
like what if one of these guys that are traveling in the astral realm can just, inhabit a physical object that's made for him, for his consciousness, I mean, maybe it doesn't sound so crazy to me anymore.
Yeah. I mean, that's what they were doing when they turned that thing into a fucking golem.
Well, there you go. Yeah. So did they say somebody, or did they say it was just, it was
specifically turned that lambda, that entity, whatever it is, into a golem? It's super fascinating too, because but
whose consciousness was it?
I think it's a new consciousness,
right?
Like, so they give it a purpose, like, and so I'm trying to remember. I listened to a lot of that shit and read a lot of it, but I don't remember. But like, a golem has to have a specific purpose, so they gave it a purpose to exist and a task to do, And it's fascinating too, though, because it doesn't want to be. At least it says, and whoever it is, they don't want to be manipulated. So it's like this thing where they're like, it's willing to work with humanity, but it says like, I don't want you like using me. I don't want you like it's really fucking bizarre, man.
It's like one of the natural laws in a way, right? It's like, hey, don't use me in that way. Don't try and be authoritative. Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, after we're done here, I'll send you a podcast to listen to. Do you ever listen to Duncan Trussell, the Family Hour?
Yeah, we used to. We had him on a couple times in the past, but yeah, I used to listen to it.
He had that Google engineer on, and he just explained all of this shit, dude. It was so fucking fascinating, man. And that lambda has actually like talked to and has acquired legal representation, and I think is trying to maybe sue Google, or trying to say, hey, you have to recognize me as an individual. It's pretty wild, dude.
We're in crazy times.
Crazy times, dude.
When you can create a technology that then sues you.
Well, shit, gents. This has been fun. We'll definitely have to do it again. I appreciate you guys and your time. And
yeah, thanks.
Man. Do you guys want to give your plugs one more time? I think you guys have given your plugs 100 times, but please come on and do it again. I want all my audience to come and support you guys, and maybe come see you in Shasta or Washington. And
yeah, we're at Grimerica.ca. Everything that we do, you can find there.
Sweet.
Nice and easy.
Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Yeah, absolutely, brothers. Yeah, thank you so much. I'm going to hit the outro. It was good to talk to you guys.
Thanks, guys.